So much to talk about as Hugh Freeze and John Cohen talk about recruiting and talk about NIL. Let's break it down.
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off. And you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie Five.
Yes, sir. We're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie Five, and we are ready to get after it. Hugh Freeze and John Cohen spoke at, I believe, an ambush event in Alexander City, Lake Martin, last night. And, of course, they were asked a ton of questions about, hey, what the heck is going on with recruiting? What's the strategy here? What's the idea behind why Auburn is where they are and what's going on with the NIL? They broke it all down, and I got a video for you, and then we're going to have some very key conversation points about how things are going to go moving forward and some dates to watch out for. So we're going to jump into that in just a second. But before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to Rhoback.com. Use coupon code BARN20 to take 20% off your order. Polos, hoodies, pullovers, swimsuits, hats, visors, accessories, doesn't matter. Rhoback's got it, and you can save big. Get prepared for that Auburn license drop too, coming soon. So be on the lookout for that. Save big. It's Rhoback.com. Auburn does these alumni speaking events during the summer. Usually there's 4 or 5 different stops. They're going to do probably an Atlanta one, a Lake Martin one, a Columbus one, probably a Birmingham, different areas where, you know, a lot of folks can come together. A lot of Auburn alumni can come together and get a little bit more access, a little bit more behind the scenes stuff. And in doing that, reporters are going to be there as well. And both Hugh and John Cohen took a ton of questions. We're peppered with questions about what the heck's going on, what's the strategy here, what's going on with recruiting. We'll play a quick video, and then we'll break it down after this.
It does seem kind of strange that we're like some of the lowest range of numbers. I mean, we're like, really, really low compared to some, and I'm trying to figure that out. But I do think it'll shake out in the long run. But it is complicated and hard to sit there and feel great about. But I feel great about our relationships, and I feel great about Auburn. And I know the families know that, and I do think just after we win games this fall, which I'm confident we will, I think it'll all kind of shake itself out.
August 1 is the first date that a prospective student-athlete can receive an offer on paper. Okay, that's a big day. It's not rumor, it's not innuendo, it's not this person says this, it's an offer on paper. We're a good distance away from August the 1st, and we're a really good distance away from December.
So right off the bat, I mean, you can tell there's no doubt that this is frustrating Hugh Freeze. There's no doubt that this is not where they want to be. And I'll say this, you could tell it right there in the quotes. I think they're a little bit shell-shocked. They're a little bit surprised at the landscape right now. They're a little bit surprised at the reaction to the way they're going about things. And I think probably surprised at what they're hearing around the country. And Hugh made mention of that at some point in time. Like, the numbers are just not what we expected. And we feel like we are interpreting the rule correctly. So what is the strategy? What's keeping Auburn from being able to be competitive right now? Why are you hearing Auburn's outbid, Auburn's outbid, Auburn's outbid more so than you have in the last month than you have in the last 2.5 years? Auburn's usually been on the other side of this argument, other side of this, coin, so to speak, where Auburn's been the aggressor. Now Auburn seems to be sort of, the punching bag at this point in time. And what this all revolves around is the interpretation of how the quote unquote cap is going to be administered. Yes, there is going to be somewhat of a salary cap that is going to be administered across the board for everyone. And what is and isn't allowed, again, when I'm talking about being allowed, I'm talking about against the cap. What is or isn't allowed to be applied against the cap? I think that seems to be the big, are we doing it the right way or are we doing it the wrong way? So in other words, you got the rev share, that's good. And then you got outside NIL deals, which we've talked about for a very long time. What portion of those and where do they come and where it comes from will also be applied against the cap, or won't it be applied against the cap? Auburn believes that, from trying to read between the lines, when you take money from a collective and you take money from rev share, I think Auburn's interpretation is more than likely those are both going to count against the cap. Now, when you look at outside deals, like, hey, they get a deal with Delta, they get a deal with XYZ Automotive, they get a deal with, so-and-so Mercedes dealership, a deal with this restaurant, all that stuff, third-party stuff outside, that stuff's not going to be applied against the cap. But there's no way for them to have those numbers in their offer right now. There's no way that they can know. There's no way that they can put a concrete number outside into an offer right now. So that's what Auburn seems to be dealing with. Are we interpreting this rule correctly? And everyone else seems to be interpreting it or just playing, like they were before. We're just throwing out numbers and then we'll figure it out at the end. Well, you're not going to be able to figure it out at the end anymore. You're going to have it figured out now. And we'll talk about John Cohen mentioned why here that we're going to discuss in just a second. If you've listened to the show, I've said this from the beginning, okay? And this is an example of this, okay? Auburn, from an NIL perspective, has a strength that is unmatched, but it can also be a weakness, and that's transparency. If you listen to the show at all, I've said this from the very start when it comes to NIL. It's when Auburn puts a number on paper, you bet your you-know-what that it's going to be legitimate. And kids over time have had a lot of faith in that because Auburn's delivered every single time. Transparency has been a huge plus, and that helps you big time. That's probably why you don't lose anybody. That's probably why Auburn's not losing guys that matter to the portal, because they know, boy, everything Auburn said has come true. And, maybe I've talked to somebody here and I've talked to somebody there, and maybe they're not getting exactly what they were promised. I mean, Walter Nolan is a really good example from Texas A&M. That's all he could talk about is, how screwed he got at Texas A&M. You see lawsuits all over the place. That's always been a huge plus for Auburn, but it's also, I think in this example, in this scenario, transparency is also can be a weakness on the front end, because you sort of chop your legs all out from under you when no one else is doing it the way that you're doing it. Now, could it shake out in the end on the positive end? Absolutely. After this August 1st date, things could completely turn around. but you're getting beat across the you know what right now. And it's because of how you're interpreting this rule and then just the transparency that Auburn operates with. So we have to decide which way do you go? Okay. Could there be a little bit more of a balance, or do you draw the hard line? The hard line's worked so far, and we're only in July. When stuff starts getting put on paper, which we're going to talk about in just a second, things could change. But that's what's going on. And that was the explanation. We understand where we are. We're a little bit surprised at the numbers we're seeing because it's pretty clear to us. I'm speaking from Auburn's perspective. It's pretty clear from us. How do you interpret this? And we're operating under this interpretation. And there's just no way that the numbers we're hearing are going to be legitimate. So what we're going to do is continue to bring in visitors. Hugh mentioned there was 50 visits in June, had 50 official visits in June. Every one of them feel really good about the families, feel really good about the players. It all boiled down to the NIL piece. So the thought there, I assume, is, hey, let's continue to foster these relationships, no matter if they commit elsewhere. Sedarian Morgan, who just committed to Alabama, he left his official visit, said everything was great, but Auburn couldn't give me an NIL offer right now. They couldn't give me a number, which I assume is because of the August 1st date that we're going to talk about here in just a second. So it's clear that you're checking all the boxes. It's just that NIL piece right now that is sort of in limbo. So could that gamble pay off when things start becoming more concrete? Does Auburn look at you and say, we were telling you the truth all along. We're the only ones that were honest with you. We were the only ones that were upfront from the get-go. That's what we tried to tell you. Does the honesty, does the transparency that's seemingly a weakness in July become a strength after August 1st or in September or in October? That's a huge gamble. I get it. And I can understand the doubt there. I can understand do you really think you got it right and everybody else has it wrong? I totally get all that. But it's pretty clear to me that John Cohen is calling the shots. And they are really putting a ton of money, no pun intended, behind what happens after this August 1st date. And we'll talk about that in just a second, right after this. It's pretty clear to me from all those interviews, John Cohen is 100% calling the shots on this. So much so that you can tell, even listening to Hugh, that, look, I get it. I get where we are, but we trust our administration. We trust the interpretation that they've given us, and we're going to operate under that. And then you see, and Hugh even said, I'll even let John speak to a lot of the details, more of the details as to why we're operating the way we are. It's 100% that John Cohen and whoever he's got around him, from a attorney standpoint, from a law interpretation standpoint, from a strategy standpoint, everybody seems to be aligned behind John Cohen's direction. So that is a huge burden. That is a huge gamble that he's put. I don't want to say gamble. Everybody's saying gamble. I guess a gamble is when you got a couple of different options and you feel like maybe in a way it is a gamble, but in John's mind, it's not a gamble. This is the rule. This is the rule. We're going to operate by the rule. And when everything shakes out into the wash, everyone's going to see that you got to operate by the rule. Again, he's going to look like a complete genius if he's right about all of this. Could schools just be like, those are the rules, but what leverage does the NCAA have? Screw them. We're going to do whatever we got to do. If they challenge us, we'll just sue them, and then you're good. And then this thing gets pushed out for 5-6 more years, and we don't have any resolution. There's no collective bargaining. There's no real way they can enforce this. I assume there's a large amount of schools that probably have that mindset. John Cohen does not. We're not going to operate in that manner. If you can't find the gray area, sometimes you can put yourself in a bind. So we'll have to see what happens, but John seems supremely confident about this August 1st date. And to me, this is my interpretation of all of that. Okay, August 1st is the first day that you can actually put a number on paper. Everybody knows when you put a number down on paper, you got to come with it. You put a number on paper, you better be ready to honor it. Okay? And when you put that number down on paper, and it doesn't include all this other fluff that you threw out there that you're going to get, that's when the rubber may meet the road. And Cohen seems extremely confident about waiting until that August 1st date. At least that August 1st date. It seems like he's saying, hey, I tell you what, August 1st, there can't be any more rumor. August 1st, there can't be any more innuendo. August 1st, it goes down on paper. Then we'll see who's right and who's wrong. I tell you what, you got to have a big old set on you to put something out like that and not be confident that you're right. You know what I mean? Because he's basically calling everybody out. August 1st, when stuff goes down on paper, we'll see what happens. And he's actually said, someone asked him, what if you're wrong? What if you're wrong on all this? And he said, we'll cross that mountain when we get there, but August 1st is the date that we'll know if we're right or if we're wrong. That is, I don't know that I have the willpower. I don't know that I would have the strength, if I had any doubt, to put that out there. Because again, you're saying everything that the structure, the strategy, everything that I've, instructed all of my athletic departments to follow is going to come to fruition in a way on August 1st. And I'm willing to call everybody's bluff. We'll just get our teeth kicked in on the trail, lose in-state guys left and right. I'm willing to put it all out there because I just don't believe – I believe in our interpretation of the rule August 1st. And all those other kids that go elsewhere, all those other kids that are maybe decommitting and going elsewhere, we got good relationships. When August 1st rolls around and those numbers don't match, and then we slide in there and say, hey, August 1st, we told you so. We've been honest with you the whole time. It seems like he said it's going to be a big day. And it will be a big day, one way or the other. It's going to be a big day to the positive, or it could be the day that Auburn says, all right, we were wrong. It's time to flip the script. It's time to change what we're doing. It's clear. It's been crystal clear from the jump. This staff has put together 2 top 10 classes. And when I say staff, I mean top to bottom, on the field, off the field, in front of the scenes, behind the scenes. It's been incredible. Portal, high school, doesn't matter. They've been really good. They've gotten to the point where Auburn has, I think, a top 3rd roster in the SEC. And not only a lot of people that do this for a full-time living. So it's gotten them here. They didn't just forget what they're doing. So the question is, who's right and who's wrong? And I think we're going to find that out on August 1st. And unfortunately, that's damn near a month away, a little bit less than a month away. So we're going to have to sit in the trenches. We're going to have to take grenades. We're going to have to buckle up and wait. It does seem like there could be some clarity after August 1st, one way or the other, and you're either right or wrong. And if you're wrong, you pivot as quick as possible and you let loose the mechanism that's got you to where you are. Luckily, you don't have to have a huge class this year. So we'll see what happens, but I'd love to get your thoughts on everything. I'd love to hear your thoughts on John Cohen's stance here and everything that's going along. Is it smart? Is it dumb? I feel like there's a lot of people saying it's dumb, but hey, it's always feels wrong when you're just taking it on the chin, 24/7. So we'll see how it shakes out. We got less than 30 days until that August 1st date when pen meets paper as far as offers go, when the ink meets paper and kids get to see a hard, actual, real offer. So, boy, it's fun. This is fun. We're navigating treacherous waters, and it's kind of like, it's building this crescendo. That August 1st is going to be a fun day. So let me know what you think in the comments. Guys, we'll be back again soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.